Welcome, everyone. We are looking forward to spend the next 8 hours with you. Hi, my name is Sjoukje Zaal, and I am your host for the first half of this conference, together with Kunal.
Thanks a lot for the introduction. And yeah, really excited to be here. Really excited to present to you all the amazing speakers, roundtable discussions, and what all things we have to offer. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining, everyone.
So this conference is organized by the global AI community, the Microsoft Student Ambassadors, Microsoft Reactor, and C# Corner. And the global AI community is an umbrella brand which consists of many local communities focusing on AI worldwide. The student ambassadors are awesome people that spread the love for Microsoft on campuses. And you can join the session later today to learn more about the benefits of this program. This conference has a code of conduct on the website, so please behave nicely during this event. And all our conferences run on the website aicoms.education. And after this conference, all session recordings will be made available there as well. And by the way, you can check out all the talks from the previous conferences on that website as well. So we have two parallel tracks today. One, the main video stream, and the Global AI Cafe. And you can ask your questions on the main stream in the chat, but if you don't have enough time for this, you can go to the Global AI Cafe afterwards, where all our speakers will go to as well, and you can ask your questions over there as well. The link to the Global AI Cafe is on the top of the website as well, and it's open during the whole conference for people to join, meet, and chat. It is a Teams meeting that you're going to join, and there's a two-step process to join. It's very easy to follow. So over to you, Kunal.
Thanks a lot for sharing. And yeah, I mean, if by any chance you're bored, because, we have so many sessions running in parallel, so you need some sort of a way to, like relax, hang out with other people, showcase whatever things that you are learning. So for that, we have the Cloud Skills Challenge. The link for that is also at the top of the site, and you can attend it like even like after the conference for the next 48 hours. The prizes are, to be honest, pretty exciting. And drum rolls. I'm not sure if you were able to hear that, but you will get lots of Microsoft certification vouchers, and it's going to be like given out to some serious performers. So make sure you put your cloud skills to test and showcase whatever things that you're learning during the conference. Other than that, a little bit more about the conference. There are like two logical parts to it. So one is the educational part, where we will be covering like various AI technologies. What is the roadmap to starting with AI and machine learning, for example, and there are so many amazing speakers who are going to be sharing their particular journey with AI as well. So we're going to be starting with AI research. So where students can share their particular projects and the things that they are working on. And in addition to that, there's a great roundtable session in between. So how to do research if you are a student. That is also something that has been covered, and something that was requested by a lot of students, like, hey, how do I get started with research as a student? So those are the two logical parts of this particular conference. We also want to create a joint cognitive portrait of all the conference visitors, similar to the one that I will just share, over here. Basically, the idea over here is that taking pictures from all the particular attendees and merging it together in just one single picture. It's pretty cool stuff. And for that, all we need is a headshot photo from each of you. So please drop the particular photo as this at this link, easyfi.net/aiconf/drop. But I'll make sure I send it in the chat over here as well. Cool. I'll just share it in the particular AI conference chat. Just one second. But yeah, really looking forward to it. And as always, if you have any questions, always feel free to ask in the text chat, or you can also drop a chat in the Global AI Cafe for a friendly conversation. Like it was mentioned already, it is a Teams channel, so you can just also come say hello, say hi, like introduce yourself, share your story, and just hang out over there. So yeah, thanks a lot.
So now it's time for the first session, and you are our first speaker, right, Kunal?
Yep, that's me.
You're going to talk about the roadmap to machine learning. Very exciting stuff. So the floor is yours. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And let me just start by sharing my screen over here real quick. So there we go. Just put it on a separate window. Nice. Where is it? Okay, I believe you are able to see it now. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, let's get started. So welcome everyone to Roadmap to Machine Learning and getting started with it. My name is Kunal. A little bit introduction about myself. I am a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador from India, and I love teaching. I love communities, and the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors has been a great motivation for me in whatever I do. It's a really amazing community, and I highly recommend you all, if the students are watching, definitely check it out on their particular website. If you want to connect with me on Twitter, you can find my handle on the screen as well. But let's get started. So this particular section, first of all, I just want to say welcome to the conference. And this particular session that we have today, which is the roadmap to machine learning, it does not have any prerequisites to attend. So you can definitely gain a lot of insights regarding how to get started with machine learning after this particular conference. As always, feel free to ask your questions in the chat and I'll be more than happy to answer those. So when we're talking about, what is machine learning? So there's often this concept, like you might have heard around, like, the buzzwords like machine learning, AI, deep learning, data science, computer vision, so many things. So in short, it's like if I'm saying that I want to create, let's say you're using your iPhone or something, your particular phone has like some fingerprint or something, and let's say you are like using your Photos app in which it groups the particular photo with the particular person in that photo, or if you want to create like a machine learning application that identifies what type of animal it is. All of these things fall under the domain of artificial intelligence. So we're trying to mimic the human brain's behavior, right? But how do we actually achieve that particular thing? We can do that. One of the ways to do that is via machine learning. So machine learning, like the name suggests, is called in various ways by which our machines can learn. Because if I'm saying that AI in layman terms, it's like computers trying to mimic humans. You might have seen in like many robotic videos as well. Like you have like AI robots and stuff. And in Iron Man, you have like the Jarvis, which is like the AI voice assistant stuff of Iron Man, Tony Stark. So when we're talking about like trying to mimic this behavior, so humans also learn. Humans also learn while humans gain knowledge while learning. That's basically like the idea of machine learning. You might have heard about things like my machine learning model is training. These buzzwords you might have heard about. You might have also heard about in this in like a lot of ML memes if you're into those things. So machine learning is basically an approach via which we can train our model, via which our model can learn, and using that particular experience of that machine learning model, what all things the machine learning model has learned, we can apply AI in that. We can, AI, it's basically like a way of achieving all the things that you're doing, like AI and like your computer visions. And for example, when you first get your phone, you like scan your fingerprints. So you put a lot of fingerprints over there and then it's scanning. After that, your model is trained, and whenever you unlock your phone, it unlocks with your particular fingerprint. So when you're talking about like training a model and all these things, so in simple terms, this model stuff that you hear, it's basically can be like a mathematical equation, for example. Okay, so the whole idea of machine learning basically revolves around for which type of data, which particular algorithm am I going to use to create my model. So that's the whole idea regarding machine learning. If you have like a linear data, so if I'm talking about a particular example of buying houses, so it's still, let's say I'm only taking into taking consideration of just one factor, which is how big my house is. So obviously, if I'm only taking the size of the house in consideration, bigger size of the house, more price of the house. Pretty simple stuff, right? So that way you can see that this is a linear, your price is going to increase somewhat linearly. If I'm saying, let's say a size 2-bedroom house costs around, let's say $50,000. I'm like, 4-bedroom house costs around $120,000. So you can see as the number of rooms are increasing, the price is also increasing. So it's like linearly increasing. So in order to understand, like if you're given like this sort of a data already to us, how can we create a generalized answer so that when we get some new data, then we can predict the particular answer. Another buzzwords you might have heard are like my model is training. There's some training data that I'm giving. This is what it actually means. So training data in simple terms is like, okay, this is the data that is already provided to you. And you can use this particular data to then, get answers for the new data. That's basically the idea over here. So if I'm talking about, let's say, a linear particular data where the relationship is linear, like the house problem I just mentioned, in that case, you can use something like linear regression and stuff. Don't worry if you don't understand about what all these linear regression stuff and thing is. The idea of this particular session is just to give you a basic understanding of what machine learning is. So like you mentioned, I was like, okay, linear data, I'll use something like linear regression. If you have donut shaped data, if you have blobs of data, clusters of data, you will use some other algorithms. So figuring out which algorithm to use, for which type of data is used in machine learning. Now, what is deep learning? Deep learning is basically when you're talking about my machine learning model is learning, right? So if I'm talking about, let's say, a linear data, a generalized answer for that can be a single line. And we all know line has nothing but a mathematical equation, y is equal to mx plus c, where m is your like a slope, c is like your intercept. So the idea is that in order to this is an important point. What do we actually mean by our machine learning model when we say that it's training? It basically means that the machine learning model, using the algorithm that we provided to it, it's trying to figure out these variables that I just mentioned to you, because it's going to be a mathematical equation in the end. And in that particular equation, you can just put all the inputs and it will calculate the answer. So the variables in the mathematical equation, they are going to get figured out by its own. That is called machine learning. It's going to be doing some calculations using the algorithms and stuff. Deep learning is basically when we, we have your input, like I mentioned, training data, you have some output. In the middle, if you replace that algorithm with an artificial neural network, that is known as deep learning. Again, don't worry about if you're not understanding these big words. It's just like this particular graph is just giving you a basic understanding of what all these things are and how they differentiate with each other. So AI versus ML versus deep learning versus data science. It's not a this or that question. It's like AI and like deep learning is a subset of machine learning subset of AI. Data science is basically like a collection of all those things. Cool. So let's talk a bit more about machine learning in depth. So this is like the graph of machine learning that you can see over here. Again, this is like, I'll start from the very basic. So it's totally fine. Let me just see if, yeah, okay, cool. So machine learning, it has basically in general like 3 domains. First one you can see in blue one over here, which is called supervised learning. Second one in the orange section, you can see reinforcement learning. Third one you can see like unsupervised learning. So what is supervised learning? Supervised learning in simple terms is like the fingerprint example I gave you, right? So when you have your particular, you want to create a particular machine learning application, for example. So when you have to give it some training data that also has the answer to that particular data. For example, when you're training your particular, for your phone, you're like, I want to add some fingerprint in my phone. So when you're adding a fingerprint in the phone knows that the fingerprints that you are adding in the testing, like when you're setting it up for the first time, you know that this is Kunal's fingerprint. For example, if I am adding fingerprint in my phone. So there are 2 things over here. One is my fingerprint, which is the data, and one is the answer to that data. Whose fingerprint is this? Kunal. So when you have the input data, which is the training data, and you also have the answer to that particular data, and you use that particular amount of data to train your model and get new answers to some new input data, that is known as supervised learning. For example, I mentioned the housing problem. So in that particular case, the data can be the data of houses, and the answer to each data can be what is the price of that house. So you're given some features of the house, you're given some prices of the house. Taking these 2 particular data, and you can then compare it with some new data that you get of a particular house, some new features you get of a particular house, you can use that to compare and get the answer. So when you have like the input data, you also have the answers to that. It's known as supervised learning. There's 2 another subcomponents to supervised learning. One is classification, one is regression. This is very, very simple stuff because classification is just like true or false. So if you're like, this is a picture, is this a cat or is this a dog? So there can be only one answer, right? It can be, it's either it's a cat or it's a dog. If you're unlocking your phone, So your phone will either unlock or it won't unlock. Only two answers is there, like some number of answers, unique number of answers are over there. If they're like a picture you gave and you want to figure out which animal is this, you can only have like one answer. You can have like so many collection of animals, but the answer will be one only. So when you have like this, concrete answer, it is known as classification. It's used in like, identity fraud detection, image classification, like I mentioned, customer retention, diagnostics, so on and so forth. So the second one is regression. It's more like you get a continuous value of data when you're talking about your answer. So if I'm talking about like, in regression, if I'm talking about like a housing problem. So if I'm saying that this house is this much square feet, so is it really true that the price of that house is going to be fixed? No, right? Because prices of the house vary. So that's an example of regression when you don't have like a concrete, like just one single value answer. You have like a range in the answer. The second thing is unsupervised learning. Now, unsupervised learning is basically like when you are just given the data set, but you're not given the answer to that data set. An example for this can be you are given like a location of many people on the map. And your goal is that, hey, I want to open 3 pizza shops. So where should I add my pizza shop so that I will get the most profit if the only thing I'm taking into consideration is the distance that people have to cover. So these things like where there are like clusters and stuff, and not the answer is not actually given like that. In that case, you will be using unsupervised learning. So things like this can be like clustering. You can use some patterns to recognize it. A recommendation system you might have heard about, like if you type something on like an online shopping site, you will get something like similar items, or if you're checking out something, you will get something like people who buy this also buy this. So machine learning is everywhere. It's pretty cool. Alrighty. And then reinforcement learning is also pretty straightforward stuff. It's like how we learn, we learn by making mistakes. When we are first learning how to ride a bicycle, so we ride a bicycle, we fall down, we try to ride the bicycle again, we again fall down, hit and trial. That's basically the idea of reinforcement learning over here. So yeah, like I mentioned about supervised learning over here, you have like the input data, give it to the algorithm, it processes it, then you get the output data. So you have the input data over here, but you will also be having like the particular answer for this, and then you pass it to the algorithm and stuff. Now, classification versus regression. This is something I mentioned in brief. So you have like your, this is a very nice example of like classification in supervised learning. Like I mentioned, there can be only just one right answer. For example, if a student is, you pass a student's profile to a machine learning model, student will either pass or fail. Only one answer. It cannot lie in between. Other than that, something that is not a concrete answer, that is in a range, it can be like the student's marks or like the percentage. Cool. So like the use cases for this, like supervised learning can be like email spam detection, document classification. For example, you give it a movie review, it will figure out whether the movie is good or not. Document classification, natural language processing, image classification, music, text, and speech, all these things. Cool. So now unsupervised learning, in which over here you can see unknown output. No training data set means you're just given the input data, but you're not given the answer to that. All the answers you are going to be figuring out by yourself, maybe using some patterns or something that you see in the data, clusters that you see, like I mentioned. So use cases for this, like this is the example that I gave you. The first one is of the pizza problem. So if you're trying to figure out where should I open my 3 pizza shops, the machine learning model will be like, okay, I'll try to recognize the patterns and I'll create 3 clusters for you. On the other hand, in the right hand side, you can see this is the housing problem. So you can see as the size of my house is increasing, the price of the house is also increasing, and the red line represents a generalized answer. So whenever someone gives a new purple dot or a new input data, it will be able to predict that by putting that particular data on this line. And this line is nothing but a mathematical equation, y is equal to mx plus c. So you will be getting your answer then. Now, use cases for this can be like object segmentation, means you're given like an image, you have to find out what all things lie in the particular image, the thing you can see in this particular slide as well. Similarity detection, cluster automatic labeling, like the pizza problem I mentioned, recommendation systems like I mentioned. So all these things are taken into consideration. Talking a little bit more about like reinforcement learning. So you have a particular agent. Agent is like the particular, let's say, if to understand it more clearly, for example, if everyone might have played like the Super Mario game. So in the Super Mario game, your goal is to like, collect coins, move forward, and then just, go till the end. That's like the goal. Everyone has, that's like my entire childhood. I played a lot of Super Mario games. I love Super Mario. But taking that as an example, the Super Mario character, that is the agent, the entire environment, like the game screen where the person is moving, Mario is moving, that is the environment. The action that you can see over here is something like jumping, moving forward, moving backward, attacking, collecting coins. So here you can see that the agent performs a particular action. That action leads to some change in the environment. That is true. Mario, when Mario performs some action, then Mario will maybe change the plants or something, jump on mushrooms and stuff. So whenever this thing happen, we all know what happens in Mario. You get points, or you get some, like, you eliminate some mushrooms and stuff. So what is happening? You're getting a reward, and there's like a state being changed. So the whole idea over here is to do this thing repeatedly till your game gets over, basically. So whether you like the game is over or the game is finished or you've reached like your target and stuff. That's the entire idea of like reinforcement learning. Use cases for this is like it's used in like game AI and stuff. Okay. One more thing I want to mention, many students have asked us this particular thing that, how do we actually get started with machine learning if we are not really into, the deep mathematics and stuff? So I totally understand this particular question that many people share with us. And the answer to that question is like you can use something like Azure Cognitive Services. Now, it's basically like it's providing an abstract layer of services to you, so you can apply and use machine learning in your particular projects without actually understanding the deep mathematical complex part. So yeah. You can see like you can apply AI to more scenarios with the most comprehensive portfolio of the AI capabilities that have been available on the market. And you also build confidently with the first AI services to achieve human parity in computer vision, speech, and language. So for example, if you want to if you're a student, you might be attending a lot of hackathons, for example. So you can use like the Azure Cognitive Services to add machine learning to your particular applications, be that like computer vision, speech recognition. If you want to, let's say, translate from one language to another, all these things can be provided to you via Azure Cognitive Services. You can also deploy cognitive services anywhere from the cloud to the edge with containers. Now, for those of you who don't know what containers are, you might have heard about like, you have like your virtualizations versus like containerization. So containers are just like, applications running in isolated environments, and it's like pretty fast as compared to your virtual machines. You can, learn more about it on like the Azure like websites and stuff. I see there's some pretty nice tutorials over there. But yeah, you might have heard about like Docker and stuff. So all these things also work with Azure Cognitive Services. Last but not least, you can definitely get started quickly. And like I mentioned previously, no machine learning expertise is required. This is a very great way to get started with this particular domain if you're not really aware of like the deep mathematical parts. Cool. So I believe that gave you a good understanding of what the roadmap to like AI and ML looks like. We'll talk a lot more about how you can get started with it. Actually, what are the various other domains, And one last closing remark before we go into the questions I would like to share is just first of all, you are on the right path because you are watching this conference. So do attend sessions like this and interact with the speakers and interact with other community members. Apply whatever you're learning. Don't forget. Don't feel don't hesitate to reach out, ask for help. Learn from your mentors. Yeah, just keep applying, keep making projects, and yeah, now I'll be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Oh, great session, Kunal.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really clear how you set the stage for machine learning, and a lot of very clear session. I don't think we have any questions at the moment for you. Let me check for a bit. But I have one question for you. For those who are really getting started with machine learning, do you have some tips on where they can get started? Some videos or maybe some documentation?
Yeah, sure. One thing I would recommend you all is, there are a lot of nice resources provided on YouTube, and there have been like some amazing courses on like online platforms as well. A few shout outs I can give, like if you're into machine learning, like if you want to get started with, let's say, linear algebra, mathematics, neural networks, 3Blue 1Brown on YouTube is pretty good. I conducted a session as a Microsoft Learn student ambassadors. This was like a complete machine learning bootcamp I did. I believe you can get started with that. Andrew Ng, he also has a particular entire course on machine learning. It's also available online. Many universities, Harvard, Stanford, MIT, they have their courses on machine learning and AI and mathematics on YouTube itself. There's MIT Open Courseware. But yeah, I would highly recommend you to just explore. And one thing I can share is definitely try to reach out with people who are actually already in that domain and learn from their experiences, because everyone learns differently. Some people like learning from documentation, some people like learning from videos, some people like follow more on learn by doing approach and stuff. So yeah, I would just encourage everyone to reach out to other people and ask them for some advices. But from what I can share with you all, you can also check out the complete session I did. So all the things that I just mentioned to you, unsupervised learning, supervised learning, there are also the particular there's also this thing called like so many libraries and frameworks being used when you're talking about machine learning, right? So you have to have good understanding of that as well. If you're just starting out, then programming language, very, very important. You can use Python, R, and you can also learn about like databases like MySQL and stuff, which is also, because if you're talking about machine learning, you will be dealing with data. You will be dealing with data. So yeah, you can check out these resources. And yeah, you can definitely like ask about experiences of other speakers in this particular session as well, like how they approach these sorts of problems and things related to their particular domain. We also, I believe, have a entire session on an introduction to machine learning soon. So it's going to be very helpful to students. Do check out that particular session if you're interested in learning about how to get started with machine learning.
Sounds good. I'm going to check out that session as well. Yeah.
Nice.
We do have a couple of questions. I missed them, so that's my bad. So one of the questions is, how fast is machine learning adopted by companies in real world application? And what is the scope of machine learning in 2 to 3 years?
That's a very good question, first of all. And I know we have heard about things like, GPT-3 and stuff, and people on Twitter were like, no more developers needed and stuff like that. Everything is going to be done with AI. That's not the case, because thing is that constantly technology is evolving and new opportunities are being created. So even though, let's say, first we have virtualization, then came containers, you have now Kubernetes and stuff, serverless stuff is going on if I'm talking about in cloud. Taking that as an example, you can see even though new technologies were coming, it's like creating more and more jobs, more and more opportunities. Same thing is like for AI, there's this thing called like, no code stuff is also getting pretty popular now, because it's like many people who don't know coding, they can also build their particular applications and stuff like that. So regarding the scope of machine learning and AI in like 2 to 3 years, most definitely, I think that it's a good field to get into. If you're a particular student who wants to get into this field, one thing I would recommend you is have some relevant experience in this particular field, which you can get via a lot of ways: projects, conducting workshops, going to events, going to hackathons, contributing to open source. So when you are going if you're a fresher, you're going for a job, then they're going to be like, asking, hey, you're a machine learning enthusiast, can you share something about your experiences? Over then you can show your projects, you can show your open source contributions and things like that. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, really helpful. There are a couple of more questions, but we are out of time for your session right now. And
Always.
you're one of my co-hosts, so you're not going to move over to the cafe as well. So maybe you can answer the other questions in the chat later on. So
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, so thank you very much for this session. And now I'm going to hand over to you, Kunal, and you're going to introduce our next speaker, right?
Yep.
Okay.